in the beginning, you were pretty much trading quite well, but then you hit this sort of rough period. What do you do when it goes wrong? Perhaps maybe you lose that recovery trade. What is your process to recover out of that drawdown? What's up, traders? Welcome back to the CTI YouTube channel. Today, we're going to meet Danny from Belgium, who has passed the CTI evaluation and is now a portfolio manager. So make sure that you stick until the end to hear his entire story about his strategy, how he got into FX, how he's passed successfully multiple funded accounts using this strategy. So make sure that you smash that like button, show some love in the comment section, and make sure that you hit that bell notification so you know when we are releasing more of these interviews. Right. So let's bring Danny in. Hey, Danny, how are you?
Hello, Rodrigo. How are you?
I'm doing great. Doing very
I'm
great.
great too. I passed the evaluation, so I'm great.
Yeah, congratulations.
Thank you.
It's something very, very challenging, but you've obviously managed to succeed doing it. And we're very interested to hear how you got into trading and how you actually managed to build up the skills, the confidence, the strategy itself to be able to start finding some success as a funded trader. So yeah, go ahead.
Yeah, well, I began trading when 5 years ago, but in crypto. So I only traded crypto at that time, and I won a lot of money with this. Everyone won a lot of money with this. And then I discovered Forex 1 year ago, and I started trading Forex, and I use the techniques and the strategies I already used in crypto. It's a bit different, but it works. Forex is a totally, completely other market, but you can use the strategies and techniques I learned a lot by trading crypto.
Did you have a mentor or did you just learn on your own?
Crypto I learned on my own. When I started a year ago, I had a mentor, someone who it was an online mentor, and he taught me how to attack the markets in Forex, because it's different from crypto. But I had a mentor, and he taught me the patience and the mindset on how to trade in a Forex market.
Okay, so what kind of process do you have in order to have a solid trader mindset?
My personal process, just waking up in the morning, I look at the charts, and I'm looking a lot at the charts. Then I try to catch the waves. So I have a scalping strategy, which works. I always try to put in different TPs, profit targets, and also stop losses. But these are in my mind, and I never reach my stop loss, or I never reach my profit target. I always go out of the market when I see the market reversing. Then it's time to get out. Or sometimes I use a recovery system. So I try to recover by putting in the same amount of positions, but on a lower or a higher, it depends if you sell or buy, and try to recover my portfolio and my profits, of course.
So what do you do when it goes wrong? Perhaps maybe you lose that recovery trade. What is your process to recover out of that drawdown?
Since I've been trading for over 5 years, and you know that they say Bitcoin has died already over 72 times, you can recover everything if you trade in crypto, because you can see your portfolio go down for even 80% when you trade crypto. Yeah, in the beginning you are stressed out, but at a certain time you say, okay, yeah, it will recover, and it always recovers. Yeah, my mindset, I try to have patience. I try to don't panic, and if you win a lot, don't be too euphoric. So if you are too euphoric, then maybe your next trade you say, okay, I will double up my mind. No, don't do this. That's even worse than panicking.
Yeah.
So you have to stay to your strategy and your money management. Money management is most important thing of trading in everything, even in crypto, and certainly in Forex.
Absolutely. Absolutely. So what we can do is we can head into your statement here. We can see a little bit of how you trade. So you started trading this account in April, and I've
Yes.
noticed that you keep using the same lot sizes, but you pretty much trade most of the major and a lot of the minor pairs here. So yeah, could you just describe your...
Well, in the beginning, I used a different strategy than I use now, because in the beginning I was focusing on a lot of different pairs, but it didn't really work for me. And then at a certain time, but I don't know, I think it was 2 months ago, I decided I'm gonna concentrate only on a few pairs and try to become expert in these pairs. Then I began trading Euro USD, also USD Japanese yen, sometimes pound USD. Then I began with the scalping strategy, and that's the strategy that I'm using now for the moment. So normally, if all goes well, I try to get out of my positions within 24 hours. Sometimes it can take longer, but then I'm already in a recovery state.
Yeah. Okay. So I can see that in the beginning, you were pretty much trading quite well, but then you hit this sort of rough period. So was this the point where you decided to switch strategy?
Yeah, this was the point. I saw this is going south, and also I noticed with the markets of today, because the markets are different from last year, that it wouldn't work anymore.
Right. Okay.
And then I began my scalping strategy.
Fantastic. Yeah, usually you would say to a trader to stick with their strategy, continue trading even through drawdown periods, but you managed to recognize the conditions of the market were not suitable for the strategy that you were initially using, and you managed to adapt. And obviously it worked. It was
Well, if I may, I was testing this on a demo account before I did it here in the CTI account.
Yeah,
So
yeah.
I was already testing the scalping strategy. Well, I think I started a month after that I started with CTI with testing this scalping strategy, because I saw this is not really working like I wanted.
Yeah, but of course, I mean, that is essential. You can't just change a strategy that you've just, I don't know, bought from the internet or learned or randomly invented. The fact is, you had back tested it. You know,
Yeah.
it has an edge. You applied it straight away. These are things that every trader should be doing. They should always be back testing perhaps a different strategy or change a variable or two with the current strategy in case the market condition changes. This is a good practice to have. It's almost like a climber going on an expedition. They need to have multiple tools. They need to have tools or equipment that is suitable for the conditions that they're in. And the conditions can change like that. One minute they're in a jungle, next minute they're in icy conditions, another minute super dry and it's really hot. It's a matter of having the ability and the tools and the equipment to adapt. Adaptation is such an important skill as a trader. So you've obviously demonstrated that, which is fantastic. Just looking at your statistics here, you have a very high win rate. So you were describing earlier that you manage your trades discretionally quite well. You're taking profits manually, you're exiting quickly. So obviously that has protected the downside.
And the recovery, of course, also. The recovery protects also a lot.
Yeah. I would say though that the average profit per trade is lower than your average loss per trade. So that's probably why you have such a high number. This is obviously, it works for you. This is part of having that discretional system. But would you say that there is room for improvement here, or are you happy with the performance of this strategy?
Well, there's always room for improvement. I always say you need to learn anything every day. So every day you need to learn something.
Yeah.
Even if it's a small thing, you need to learn every day. There's room for improvement for sure. Writing also down all my positions that I take, and if I have made a profit or loss, and I try to analyze them afterwards. Where did I go wrong? What did I do wrong? And I try to always to improve and search for better exit points when I reach some target, or better exit points for even losses. So
yeah, that's very important that you journal and you record your trades. That is so important, because that's the only way to really find out what you're doing good, what you're doing bad, your strengths, your weaknesses. But one thing that you mentioned earlier that I've just remembered is that you enter multiple entries for the same position, right?
Correct.
So that's obviously going to impact the data here. So it's not just one trade that you're taking. So even though the average profits and average loss, it shows this data. In fact, it's probably different because obviously, you're taking multiple exits. These particular numbers may not be accurate because you have so many entries and exits.
Okay.
Does that make sense?
Yes, that makes sense. Yes.
Yeah.
I understand what you mean.
Yeah, so I wouldn't take this data. I'll take this data with a pinch of salt. Either way, you've absolutely smashed it. You've kept under the drawdown and you've managed to hit the target. And it's not an easy thing to do. The CTI challenge is there to test and filter out the best traders who have a system that has an edge and they're able to execute it over a given amount of days. So you have your 30 active trading days. We're able to filter out traders who get lucky and traders who actually are good. That's what we're looking for. So what advice would you give traders who perhaps, have a similar lifestyle to you? What advice would you give them when they're starting out?
First of all, become a patient person because you need patience. If you're not patient, don't begin trading. And you have to control your emotions because if your emotions are taking over, then you will make wrong decisions. That's something I want to say to everyone. Don't let your emotions take control of anything. And follow your strategy and follow it to the letter. But first of all, you need to write down also your strategy and you have to pinpoint every point in your strategy. Okay, this is a position I want to take. Does all the options or the decision points match? Then you take the position. If one of them doesn't match with your strategy, don't do it.
Great advice.
That's how I work.
That's exactly what traders should be doing day in, day out, rinsing and repeating. And what you've just described there is a process. Literally, the holy grail of trading is risk management and process, and having it written out in detail and having your trading plan, making sure you're ticking the boxes. It is literally, that's our job. We can't control the outcome. So there's no point focusing on the outcome. What we can focus on is what we can control. And that is following the trading plan. And then you're another example of doing that, focusing on the process, not the outcome, being disciplined with it, especially with risk management. That's so important. Danny, thank you so much. I wish you the best of luck. Hopefully we'll meet again when you start scaling up more and more levels. I'd love to hear more about your wisdom and your experiences, the struggles and how you overcame them. Definitely we'll keep an eye on your progress.
Thank you.
My pleasure.
My pleasure also.
Awesome. All right, guys. Well, show some love to Danny in the comments below. Smash that like button and I'll see you guys on the next Portfolio Manager interview. Take care, everyone.